Hello and welcome to the Shea Hates Everything Podcast, where we talk about video games, movies, comics, and other shit that matters. My name is Shea, and today I hate when I'm at work and my stomach makes very loud noises while I'm sitting at my very public desk in my very public office.
Yes, I can absolutely sympathize with that sentiment because my stomach has a lot to say throughout the day.
Right.
In my special needs room, like when I'm like teaching classes and stuff, it's very quiet and focused, and then my stomach is just like, and the kids give me a look, and I'm like, you know.
Yep. Thankfully, there are only like 6 people that work on my floor. Everyone else is on our 2 other floors, so it's not as big of a deal. But it's like the other 2 people that work in marketing with me, I'm sure, just hear all the time, all day long.
I wonder what's more embarrassing, having kids hear your stomach do that, or having your coworkers?
Just having kids. Having kids.
Well,
is
having
more
kids is way worse.
I would say coworkers, because there's like a, you look at each other as peers versus like kids. Like, oh, if you're a teacher, like it's kind of funny maybe if it's a cool teacher. I mean, if you're a lame teacher, they're gonna make fun of you no matter what. But like coworkers, there's something. There's something, I don't know, more embarrassing to me.
Yeah, I could see that. Anyways,
but who are you? I don't know who you are. Would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Carl.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Carl.
Oh, thank you. It's, my name's Kyle, and today I hate sinus infections because I just got over one. And I'm still getting over one. So if you hear a couple sniffles, I will try to keep it to a minimum. But I'm still kind of like.
Did you have to take more time off work?
So I was out for 2 days, 2 more days.
Jeez.
I have a whopping 0.5 sick days left.
That's not very good.
So, but we get 1.25 sick days every month. So as long as I'm good the rest of the year, I'll have built my stock back up for next year.
You're right. Well, I'm sure drinking soda that I'm watching you do right now really helps with your sinus infection.
I drink water all day. All day.
So keep
I drank like
drinking
5 water bottles.
You can't drink too much water throughout the day.
I can, because I hate it.
No, you can't.
I hate water.
There's nothing that quenches thirst better.
Everyone's like, oh, but your body's 70% water. It's like, yeah, well, my body's like constantly 30% shit, and you don't see me eating or drinking shit. So. Nailed it. Here every other week. Stick around.
Oh boy, just the high quality content we bring on the Shea Hates Everything podcast.
It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah. So I feel weird right now because normally when we record the show, it's usually on Saturday mornings because my wife works Saturdays, and so that's like a perfect time to do it. But Kyle, you've been super busy this week because you have folks renting out the theater, which you site manage. Right. So we're actually recording on a Sunday evening, and I'm expecting my wife home. Yes, Saturday evening. Thank you.
Thankfully it's not Sunday yet.
I know, that would make me panic. But yeah, Saturday evening, and I'm expecting my wife home at any minute because she's still coming home from work. And I just feel like normally I wake up, I eat something, and then we do the podcast. And then it's like lunchtime on a Saturday. And now like it's the end of the day. By the time we're done recording, it's going to be nighttime out. And I feel off. It feels weird to be recording the podcast.
It's all my fault.
No, it's okay. I get it. You're working how many hours did you say you worked this weekend?
So
for the past couple days?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday together, I'll have worked 30 hours. And then I was sick Monday and Tuesday, so I only worked my day job Wednesday and Thursday because Friday school was canceled because of a girls' basketball tournament. They made it to state, so they canceled school so everyone could go.
What?
Yeah, this is a real thing that happened. And since they canceled the high school, they canceled the district. The entire district was canceled because the girls' basketball team made it to state.
That's insane.
Which I'm fine with because I just wound up at the freaking building anyways, site managing. Making more money an hour, I will add,
than your normal job.
Than I would have. So I got Monday and Tuesday off, but I was super sick and felt awful the whole time and could barely breathe. So I don't really count this as days off because my body was working to not die.
Isn't that the worst? I hate taking sick days. Like when you're sick, or like taking even worse is when you have to use like vacation days when you're sick. Because like you're just wasting that time And like
Right.
you would rather be at work. That's how miserable it is when you're sick. Sucks.
Right, totally. But yeah, so like I'm working 30 hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm right in the middle of that, and that is a slog. So we're working a lot, and then it's like it doesn't end because my weeks now since stage crew has started is I work 7:15 to 2:15, stage crew 3 to 5, rehearsal 6:30 to 8:30, like every day. So I'm tired.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's dive right into it.
Yeah.
Before we jump into what we've been watching and playing and stuff, I got a new TV this past week. And it wasn't because I wanted to get a new TV, because we just bought a new one when we first moved in to our new place I guess it was about a year ago now, because when we moved in, the movers broke our TV. It was a whole rigmarole. I don't remember if we talked about this on the podcast
We
or
did,
not.
and the moving company really super sucks.
Yeah, and I'm not going to name them because I'm pretty sure we signed an agreement saying we wouldn't bad talk them, but they gave us X amount of dollars and it wasn't nearly enough, and it sucks, but we moved on. And so we bought a new TV. It's super nice. Vizio, like a 55-inch. I was really happy with it because our old one was the same TV that I bought when I was in college. It was a 50-inch plasma, which I don't even know if they make plasma TVs anymore.
I don't know.
And I paid $1,700 for it when I bought it, which is an insane amount to spend on a TV in my opinion, but it's because it was like relatively new still. And the thing weighed like 80 pounds. It was absurd.
Right.
And so the new one we got, it was much nicer, better quality. It was an LED, 4K, and like a couple of months into having it, half of the screen was dark. Like not black, but just like someone put like a film over it, like just a shade over it. And then it kind of went away a couple days later. And I was like, okay, I guess we're fine now.
Everything is fine.
Yeah, and then it was all fine after that, so whatever. And we had a warranty, whatever, so I knew if something bad happened, we could get it taken care of. But like a month ago, I got a dead pixel line, like right across the middle of the screen. So it's just like a red line the whole time. And I just didn't want to freaking deal with it because you could really only see it when it was like the background was blue or when it was white. Basically, any other time it was completely unnoticeable because of the way the pixels work. But eventually I got to a point where I was like, you know what, this sucks. So we called a dude, because we got it at Best Buy, so we had the Geek Squad protection. So the guy came out, and I wasted like a whole Saturday morning with him last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. And like he was here for like 2 hours, unscrewing everything, replacing the motherboard or some shit. Couldn't fix it. So we had to go in. And basically, long story made short, I was able to get a new TV because the old one, the price has gone down. Like prices for TVs are constantly going down.
Right.
I was able to get a new TV, a different brand. I got a TCL, which is like a really unknown brand, but it has really good reviews online. And I was able to get the same size TV with HDR. And it only cost me like $40 more, like out of pocket because of what I got back. So got a new, sexy new TV. It's not like a nice name brand, but I don't care as long as it looks good. And boy, does it look good. So I finished Horizon Frozen Wilds, which was like a really good showcase for the HDR because of kind of the color saturation and everything that you get with that high dynamic range.
Right. It probably made the snowy areas look less like bland.
Well, it did. And like even before, the snow in that game looks absolutely phenomenal. And I complained last episode about kind of the sameness of it and how it kind of makes it hard to use that focus mode. I mean, that's still true. It doesn't solve that problem, but the quality of the textures was like a noticeable improvement. And I just have a base PS4. I don't have the PS4 Pro. I'm sure it would be even more insane if I were to upgrade that, which maybe I will do someday soon. But yeah, so I finished that. It was a lot of fun. I mean, the ending, it ties into what's happening during the main game pretty well with all the like AI and stuff. And you get a lot of context about the old world and how the AI worked in the old world in this DLC that you don't get in the main game. That kind of fleshes that out a little bit. That was one of my complaints of the main game is towards the end, it just becomes this like rapid fire info dump where it's like a lot of stuff kind of went over my head. I didn't really feel like I was getting 100% of it. And this helps with that. It kind of reminded me of the Leviathan DLC from Mass Effect 3, where you go down into the ocean and talk to like the big Leviathan, like the precursors to the Reapers. Yeah. And it's like after you play it, you're like, this is intrinsic to understanding the story in Mass Effect. Why would they make this DLC? I felt a little bit like that about the end of Frozen Wilds, where I was like, oh, people should play this during the main game.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I fought a lot more of those like bear enemies. After you beat the game, there's a quest where like, hey, you have to beat 5 of them, and they're all in much more difficult scenarios. And boy, those were a fucking slog. It took me like 3 hours to beat all of them in the different areas, just because those battles take forever. But I mean, it was cool. I mean, since last time I talked about it, you get these specialized weapons. So there's one that only does frost damage, one that only does lightning, and one that only does fire. And they have like combo short range and long range secondary fire. Where like the frozen one, which I used a lot, you go up close and you kind of blast the enemy with it, and it sprays out this like, icy foam smoke stuff, and it slowly freezes him. And then you can use the secondary fire, which is like a charge up ice spear that once he's frozen, it does like super massive damage. And those are really, really cool, effective weapons, but the ammo takes a shit ton of resources, which I didn't realize, because like that was never a problem for me when I was playing the game. The resource, I always had more than enough of everything. Yeah. But this, like, I was fighting these bears, and they're like the fire guys, so they're weak to ice. And I like killed the first one, and I move on to fight the second one, and I'm trying to craft more of the ice spear things, and it's like, oh, I'm out of that resource. I had like 600 when I went into this fight, and I'm out already. So yeah, it was I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I'm definitely glad I went back and played through Horizon. Like I said, some of the DLC stuff highlights aspects of the original game that I didn't enjoy, which is a bit of a bummer. But, I mean, the game is so unique. Like, the way that the enemies work is so fascinating. The world is so well realized and varied that, I don't know. It was just cool to be back in that universe, and I'm super excited for the inevitable sequel.
Nice.
So what about you? Have you been playing anything?
I've had a little bit of time in between all of the work. I got Ion Maiden on Steam, and it's actually made... They took the original build engine, like Duke Nukem 3D and all of those games, and they made a few tweaks to it, but it's essentially a game made in the build engine, and it's really, really cool. It's currently in early access. They just have like a short mission available right now. But the full game campaign's going to be available like on release, obviously. But it plays very much like, there's a lot of head bobbing, and like the head bob like as you walk. Sure. And like the levels are chock full of secret areas and stuff to find. And it's got like a really cool personality. Yeah, Ion Maiden. It's pretty freaking cool. I had a lot of fun, and it's because like it plays really well, and you can even play like original build engine controls, like with all keyboard, like with the arrow keys and WASD. Like you can do that if you want. Like you fully customize. There's a bunch of different settings and stuff you can mess with. And yeah, and it ran really well. It had a lot of like really neat effects, and it's cool to like see one of those old games with like. Where it holds on to the best parts of what those games had at the time, but then it infuses some modern game design sensibilities. Sure. It's cool to see those two kind of fuse and keep the original aesthetic. So highly recommend it.
What's the concept of that? Like, what's the world and stuff that it takes place in?
Yeah, dystopian future thing. You're part of a police force, I think, like a future squad police force. You play as a female character, and you're going in. I don't remember the specifics of it because it's intentionally light on story, as those early games often were. Right. But at the end, you have a really cool boss battle with a giant mech. Yeah, I mean, like the story's not going to be the focus. I think it's just a vehicle for. Really good one-liners and cool weapons. There's a weapon in it. There's a weapon in it where I think it's called the bowling ball grenade, where you roll it and it will like auto seek out enemies and like roll up to them and blow them up essentially. That's a fucking cool weapon. And then your 6-shot revolver is called Lover Boy. I think.
Okay.
Which is a great name for a revolver.
Yeah.
So
it
it's
sounds like something Dante would use.
Yeah, like picked up Loverboy ammunition. Yeah. I got Vermintide 2, which this thing has been taking steam by storm. People are crazy about this. It's set in the Warhammer universe, not the 40K, because that's like the future Space Marine stuff. This is like the old Warhammer stuff with like orcs and all that.
Yeah.
There was a first Vermintide game. I don't remember when it was released, but it had kind of like a niche following, but it wasn't a big hit. People had a lot of issues with it. They seem to have improved upon the original in every way. It's the most I can say about it is, maybe the best thing I can say about it is, it's very much like Left 4 Dead, but with progression. And that's like the one thing that Left 4 Dead was really missing, because Left 4 Dead is a great co-op experience. It's a lot of fun. Like learning how to counter the different enemy types and everything, and memorizing the maps and where the item spawns are and stuff. That stuff is fun, and just like it's a vehicle for having a good time with your friends. This is still totally that, but it's just like swords and magic and these like giant rat men that are running at you. But it also has like exterior progression, so you have like a very Destiny-like power hero level that's going up, and it's like an average of your total gear score. And then you have, so like every time you level up, you get 10 extra power to your thing, and then the other half of your power is an average of your gear score. I'm having a blast with it so far. As far as I know, there are no microtransactions, but you get loot chests when you beat levels. So when you level up, you get a commendation chest. And then when you beat a level, you get a loot chest. Now, the different difficulties like cap certain levels, so like, you can only get up to 100 power level items by playing recruit. If you go veteran, you can get up to 200. So like, and the commendation chests and like kind of help you toe that line of like the buffer to help buffer you past those like later bits. Like if your power level's at like 100, well, I guess technically your gear average power level's at 100, like whatever your level is, and you're struggling with veteran, you can like play some recruit stuff, get the chests. If the gear sucks, you scrap it, and you can craft stuff at your level or slightly above your level. So you can use that to kind of buffer it. You can use the commendation
just a little bit of progression.
Yeah, to kind of kickstart you. But I found that it mostly comes down to whether or not you're good at it. Because even if you're under-leveled or underpowered, I guess I should say, but you're really good at the game, like knowing when to block, dodging left and right, like timing your attacks, sticking together as a group, using your items well, because the levels are the same every time, but the item spawns change, the enemy spawns change, and the bosses change in terms of what you're fighting and stuff. The objective, the end goal is always the same, but sometimes the path you have to take there is slightly different, and so it switches it up in a very Left 4 Dead-like way, where the enemy spawns are all random, item spawns are random, but the end goal is the same. I think it's really, really hard, so teamwork is really key, but when you win and when you finish, there's like this sense of relief and excitement, because you know you at least get a chest for winning, and then if you level up, you're getting another chest, and the quality of the chest can increase based on how you do. So like if you do quick play, that gives you a little bit extra, and that's just like match me up with randoms or play a random level if you already have a full party. Yeah, it's just there's a lot going on there. A lot of systems, but enough to wrap your head around.
Do you still get stuff if you fail?
So you still get XP if you fail, based upon how far you are in the level. And every level has 3 tomes and 2 grimoires. And the basic setup is you have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. Some ranged weapons have ammunition, some are on like a recharge system. And then you have a potion and a utility potion. Like you have a health item, a utility potion, and some form of a bomb. And like those are like the 5 things you carry. If you pick up a tome, you can no longer pick up health items. You have to put the tome down to pick up a health item. If you pick up a grimoire, everybody's health bars are shortened. So it like takes off part of your health bar, and you can. The only way you can get rid of a grimoire is if you throw it and destroy it, or if you die. but then your team isn't. So basically, the reason you're picking these things up is so that when you finish a level, you get better chests because it increases like the amount of that chest bar that's going up.
Okay.
So like by the end of the level, like if you get all 3 tomes and 2 grimoires, all of the members of your team are at half their maximum health. Their new maximum is half their total health bar, and 3 of the 4 people cannot carry healing items because you can only carry 1 tome per person. So it's like this kind of, okay, everything we're picking up is technically making this harder on us, but the payout is going to be so much better. And it really it's such a tense game, and there's all these. I think audio is really important too. Like audio plays a really big role. Like bells will chime, and that means there's a horde of rat men coming, and then sometimes a horn sounds, and that means the chaos dudes are coming. And sound is just so important because you also hear like whispering. And this game, like Left 4 Dead, has the enemy types that, and I think this is just bad game design. They have the bullshit enemy types that are, their function is to disable you as a player so your teammates have to help you. Okay. So like in Left 4 Dead, it's the hunter that jumps on you and scratches you, and you can't do anything about it unless someone helps you. And this one, it's a hook rat that slowly drags you back through the level, so your teammates are like trying to run after it and kill it and get you. There's also an assassin that does the exact same thing as the hunter. It jumps on you and starts stabbing you. It has those bullshit enemy types that I think are bad game design because like it means I have to stop playing and like rely on my team. And then like, what if my whole team is down and I'm trying to get one of them up, and then a hook rat gets me, and then now I'm disabled and there's no way for me to get out of it, so we wipe.
And then you just wipe.
That sucks. So it has that, which is, I think, my biggest knock against it, is that those enemy types are included. I will say that since Valve recently said that they're getting back in the business of making games, they want to start shipping games again, the fact that this is so good has my hopes up that maybe we'll get like a Left 4 Dead 3 that maybe also implements some of this progression. Because I think Left 4 Dead, from a formula level, needs to innovate in order to stay relevant. I don't think they could just release another Left 4 Dead.
Another one,
I don't think people would be as into that.
I mean, I think everybody would be super excited about it, but it wouldn't have the same.
It wouldn't have the legs.
Exactly.
Right.
As something else.
And I think I would say the only reason that people are still playing the Left 4 Dead games is because of the modding community.
Right.
I'd say that's the only reason people still play them. And while there's validity to that, I think like if Valve were to make a Left 4 Dead 3, it would need something like this progression in order to keep it relevant, because I think this game does a phenomenal job of it. So I mean, it's $30 on Steam. It's half a full price game. I think part of the reason is because you can play it single player, and it just fills in the other slots with bots, and the bots aren't stupid, like they're okay, but the real magic is playing with other people. It's most fun with people you know, but I've played quite a few matches with randoms, and it seems like most people are out to help out and like have a good run.
Yeah, well,
because it sucks when you wipe.
If you fail, you're not getting as much stuff. So
right,
you're not
you
gonna
don't get the chest. All you get is like half the XP you would get if you were to finish. And
that kind of takes down on people trying to troll. Just wasting time.
Right, and like the tomes and grimoires are really, really hidden. Like they're almost impossible to find on your own. And so like playing with other people, different people know the locations of different tomes and grimoires. So like, oh, I know where this one is. I'll be able to get this one and show them where it is. They know where a different one is in this level, so they're going to show me where that one is. So now I know where it is. And like it's like this kind of the sharing of information that's happening in this early days of the game that I don't think will exist for very long, because I think eventually everyone will just know where everything is. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It was a good purchase. I'm glad I watched a little bit of gameplay and then decided to take a chance on it, because my friends and I have been having a really good time playing it.
Is this a full release or is this early access?
It's full release.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm playing Resident Evil Revelations 2 on the Switch. It's fine. Some parts aren't balanced well. It's that game.
Did you finish the first one?
I did. Yeah, I did
Okay.
beat the first one. I think maybe I talked about that last episode.
I know you were playing both of them at the same time. I was just curious if you had beaten the first one.
Yeah, I did beat the first one.
Okay.
Now I'm on the second one.
So I bought all these new games a couple of weeks ago. We talked about this in the last episode. So I wanted to check out one of them. So I started Crossing Souls, which is the one where it's very Saturday morning cartoon style.
Right.
In like the concept and kind of that animated cutscene. But the actual game is that, like 16-bit style side scroller.
Yeah, the pixel art.
Yeah, like a little bit of... I would say it's more like Zelda exploration. It's not like RPG open world exploration, but it's like halfway there. And then there are lots of kind of side-scrolling, like Streets of Rage style, beat 'em up, segments. And I would say the more Zelda stuff is very fun. Like I like running around the little town, and there's a city area, and talking to the characters. The writing is all pretty witty. But the actual fighting, I'm really not enjoying. I think there are 5 characters that you switch between just by pressing L1, and they all fight a little bit differently. Like, the main dude has a bat, and he can jump, and then there's like a big fat black kid who he does a lot more damage, but he's slower, and then there's the girl who has a whip, and she kind of like glides as her evasive maneuver. So they all handle a little bit differently. I don't know, something's just not connecting with me about that. And so I was in a recent, I'm only a couple hours in, maybe 2 or 3 hours in. I'm at a section where it's like a long, protracted, side-scrolling beat-em-up section where there's like, a bunch of different sections. And I died like 3 times on it. And I was kind of like, I'm not getting that much out of this. Which bums me out because that initial hook of the story is like, it's fun. It's dumb, but it's fun. I mean, it's this like... Egyptian relic that these kids find that let them communicate and live in like the ghost version of our world, and that's most of the enemies you're fighting are like ghost people.
Okay.
But the actual like combat stuff, I'm not really finding it to be super well balanced. The enemies do a lot of damage, and I don't know, it's tough to... There's that, like, when you dodge, there's that half second where you can't move afterward. And so the timing is something that I'm having troubles with. And maybe I'm just bad at it, but I'm not having that much fun. So I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. We'll see.
Okay.
I also played a little game that came out last year. I got it for like $2 on a PSN sale called Burly Men at Sea, which is a great name.
That is a great name.
And I just watched the trailer for it because I was like, oh, this game's $2. If it doesn't look shitty, I might pick it up. And it's basically like a lightly interactive storybook is how I would describe it. So it's very appropriate for like kids, I would say. It's not a kiddie game necessarily. I still enjoyed it. But kind of the only interaction that you're doing is... You use the right analog stick to kind of like move the camera, and so the characters will follow the camera, and then you occasionally click on things. And that's kind of all you do. The rest of it is just the story of these 3 sailor brothers like trying to find adventures. I don't know, it's just like a cute little experience. I mean, I beat through the first run in maybe 40 minutes. One of the cool things it does is it has these... It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure almost, where there are several breaking points throughout the whole game where you can do one thing or the other, and none of them, like, you don't ever die. It just continues on to the next part, whether you succeed or fail. And so, kind of after you beat the game, it puts you back on this main hub island, and you can, like, set out again on another adventure and make a different choice or do a different thing and see what other paths takes you on. Okay. And that's just like a fun, because the game's so short, that really works. I haven't gone back to it yet, but I probably will, just to like see what some other things are. Because it's like, I don't know, like there's one, you like get swallowed by a whale, and so like you figuring out how to escape, and then you meet like these underwater seals that turn you into seals so that you can swim underwater. It's just like a cute, odd game, and it has a really nice storybook kind of visual style that I really liked.
Cool.
So if you can get it for cheap, I definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
And then finally, as I was trying to find my next big game to play, recently it was announced that the 3rd Tomb Raider game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is coming out in September. and I guess jumping ahead to the news. So they announced that, and they're having a big reveal event on April 27th. So we'll get more information then. All we know now is that it's the new game and it comes out in September. So I was like, hey, I should finally get around to playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. So I started that. I have the whatever definitive or Game of the Year edition, whatever, or anniversary, whatever it's called, edition on PS4. And I'm only like 2, maybe 3 hours in. It didn't really grab me at first, and I think part of it's because it feels very similar to the first game, which I just played last year just for fun.
Okay.
I mean, it's perfectly good. It's just, I remember when this game came out and everybody being like, oh, they out Uncharted.
Not
and
even
it's
fucking close,
you know,
dude.
like they improved on the first game so much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just not really seeing that yet. And I mean, I'm still early on, but to me, like, the only real difference is it's a slightly more expansive. There are slightly more expansive areas to explore, and there are like little side missions. And that's kind of the only difference I'm seeing. And I don't mean that to be like bad. I'm still having a good time with it. It seems like it's a quality game. It's just the reaction of people seems overblown to me, because I play this and I'm like, this doesn't come close to doing what Uncharted does as well as Uncharted.
Right.
And I think part of that's because, like, the characters aren't as interesting. This game also, I actually think the cutscenes look worse than the first game. And I think that's, like, a visual fidelity Uncanny Valley thing where it's, like, the characters all just look kind of ugly because they're so realistic looking that it's, like, kind of hard to watch at times. So, I don't know. It's just, I just don't see how this kind of redefines the third-person action adventure kind of game the way some people said. So I don't know. In the first game I was really not a fan of how it was kind of like borderline torture porn for Lara. Like she's got the shit kicked out of her every second.
The crap out
and
of her.
She dies in the most gruesome way, and that was kind of off-putting, especially because I remember like one of the leaders of Crystal Dynamics came out and they were like, we don't want you to identify with Lara. We want you to feel like you have to protect her, and that's like, it was a pretty sexist comment, which really rubbed me the wrong way. And this game feels like that too. It's like within the first 10 minutes, she's like falling down a fucking mountain, and then she gets punched, and just like, she just gets the shit kicked out of her all the time. And it's just kind of off-putting to me.
Sure.
But I don't know. As a game, for what it's trying to do, it does everything very well. It's just not as amazing as I think some people have said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm certainly going to keep playing it. I'm liking it enough to keep playing it. I'm going to see it through so that I can play Shadow of the Tomb Raider when it comes out this year. But it's not blowing me away the way that it did some people.
Yeah, I don't remember if I actually beat it or not. I feel like I did, but that might have just been the first game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember there being this big beach area with a ship, a boat.
That is the first game.
That's the first game?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there might be another one in the second game, I don't know, but that was definitely in the first game.
Yeah, I don't know.
The second game, and I'm sure it changes as you go, but I think it takes place in Russia, in the mountains, and it's all wintry.
Oh.
And so it's a little samey, same way as like Frozen Wilds was, where there's the occasional more wooded area, occasional like, you know, there's not snow everywhere area, but it's mostly there's snow everywhere. Yeah. And that just kind of gets like, all right, I'm sick of watching her shiver. You know,
yeah.
So
I gotcha.
You watching anything?
Only thing I've really watched is I did watch both series of the Frankenstein Chronicles with Sean Bean.
Okay.
He is phenomenal in this show. He's so good. And I think it has a pretty decent supporting cast with a couple of exceptions. The pacing's kind of all over the place though. And they reuse a lot of shots in a very serialized TV kind of way. How they're calling back to previous shots and episodes a lot.
Okay.
But like upon having finished it, I now recognize some more of the significance of those shots they were using. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think binge watching it can get a little bit much. It can get to be a bit much. I really like the second season a lot more than the first, and I think they kind of left it in a decent place where I would be interested in seeing if they were to pick it up for a third series. But also like they could end it there and I would still feel satisfied.
Gotcha. That's good.
Yeah, and
but
I
it's
thought,
worth
like,
checking out.
I think so, because Sean Bean is so good in it.
Yeah, he's
awesome. Really good. Yeah, I think it's worth it, but like I wouldn't recommend you binge watch it. I would do like an episode at a time, maybe 2 at most.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I feel like I've gotten away from binge watching in the traditional sense. Like, if Kelly and I are watching a show, like, hey, if there's 13 episodes, we'll try to get through that in like a week and a half. But I never take like a whole Saturday and just watch 7 episodes of something.
Yeah.
I think just because, like, I just feel like I want to do multiple things during the weekend so that I feel like I've gotten something out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, that's just I'm not binging stuff the way that I used to. But I have been watching some more Lost. I watch like 1 episode of Lost a day, just about. I'm a couple episodes into season 3 now. And we're on the edge. We're on the edge now. I'm just starting to not care as much about like the mystery and like the new stuff they're introducing. It's not hooking me as much. And there was a moment in like a couple episodes ago where like Sawyer was getting beat up by some dude, and he's like, the dude that's beating up Sawyer, he's like yelling at Kate like, do you love him, and she's like, yes, I love him, stop hitting him. And I was just like, oh, I don't care, like, I don't give a shit about this at all. So yeah. And also the episode I just watched this morning, Echo died, and he was like a character that I really liked, the huge black dude. Yeah, Echo. And I really liked him because he was just a fun, imposing presence that really underused his character.
He has great,
and then,
crazy eyes.
Yeah, and they just like kill him, and it's very underwhelming, and he doesn't really have an impact on anything when he dies. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of a wet fart way to send him out.
Yeah, and I felt like the story with his is it his brother?
Yeah.
I felt like that, like, it didn't have a good wrap up.
Right.
Like, that didn't have like a nice conclusion, at least.
Yeah.
Before he went.
And it's so weird, man. Like, looking at these early seasons before we get explanations for stuff, there's so much supernatural shit that's happening. And some of it they explain away with science later on, but there's still like
there's still some of it that they don't.
That they don't explain. And I don't know. I'm curious to see once I get to the end again, like having the foresight to be paying attention to those details, if I feel more or less satisfied with how things wrap up than I did the first time through.
Well, it's sense? Because like they don't explain some of it with science because the other half of it is God stuff.
Right. Yeah, but they don't explain that. They don't, and I'm not saying you need to give me facts to justify the mysticism, but there still needs to be, I don't know, it just can't be, you can't do some like weird shit where they're seeing a vision and all these characters have all these visions and then that's it. They just had visions, the end. Like, give me some sort of justification or meaning behind it other than it's a storytelling device besides the flashbacks that we use 80,000 fucking times every episode.
Like, you can't just have Jack see his dad all the time and like his dad's body is actually not in the coffin. So is his body reanimated or is it a vision or what is it?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just like just
who knows?
I don't know.
They're all dead.
Science and God.
The end. So I don't know, man. Lost is a pretty terrible show with the later seasons, but boy, that first season was really good.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck watching like 40 more episodes. I can't believe I did this to myself, but maybe I'll get something out of it. Maybe. So last episode, I had mentioned that we were still watching Godless, and we had watched like the first 4 episodes. I was wrong. We had actually only seen the first 2 episodes, which is pretty telling to how I feel about Godless. And I think part of it's because the episodes are very long. Like, most of them are like an hour and 20 minutes. Like, that's a long episode.
They're like, it's a bunch of smaller movies.
Right. So we watched the 3rd episode, and then we were getting ready to start the 4th one, and we were like, you know what? We're not enjoying this. We force ourselves to watch stuff too much, and I want to stop doing that. I just don't like this show, so we stopped watching it. And it bums me out because I really, really wanted to like it. I know you really liked it. We have some friends that like kept raving about it, and it just didn't do anything for me. And maybe part of it's because of not connecting with Jeff Daniels, and I don't know. It's it felt very, very slow, and I just didn't find a lot of the characters to be that interesting. The only character I really liked was the deputy kid, who he's this British actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He played Jojen Reed on Game of Thrones. He's like the younger, skinny kid who, like, he's really good with the guns.
Yeah.
He's the only character I really liked. But then there was, like, a side story where, like, oh, he's pretending to take violin lessons from this African-American girl because he's into her. And, like, there's this really long scene with that. And I was just going, I don't fucking care. I don't know. It just didn't enjoy the show, unfortunately. So we're done watching Godless.
Do you want to know what happens to that kid?
I'm
not gonna. I won't say it on here, but I can text it to you if you want to know what happens to that guy.
No, I don't think so. Because
Okay.
if the show continues into a season 2, like, we may want to go back and try it again.
Okay.
So I don't know that I want to, like, ask for spoilers. If I get spoiled, I get spoiled. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I never go into a show not wanting to like it. You know what I mean? And so it always bums me out when something doesn't connect with me the way that I want it to.
Right. I hear you.
But instead, we watched The Handmaid's Tale, which is a Hulu original. It won Best Drama and like 8 million other Emmys last year. Kelly had started watching it like last year when it first came out. She watched the first couple episodes and then just fell off. And so she was starting it the other night, and I was like, hey, I've been wanting to watch this too. If you're going to restart it, let's watch it together. And she just listened to the audiobook as well. So she has like all the context of the audiobook. And it was really funny because a lot of stuff changes from the book to the show, as typically happens.
Yeah.
And so while we were watching it, because we watched the whole first season, as we're watching it, she keeps like wanting to tell me about how stuff is different in the book compared to the show, and like, oh, this happened in the book, it didn't happen
like,
here.
shut up, let's watch it.
But it was funny because I was like, and it would get annoying at times, but I recognized that this must have been how she felt when she watches stuff with me.
Right.
Yes. Like, especially when we watch Game of Thrones, I'm like, oh God, if I find this to be annoying every once in a while, one season of one show, I can't imagine what it's like for this poor girl being married to me.
Yeah. And like the whole time, like watching The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, Tom fucking Bombadil.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to be more sensitive to that moving forward, hopefully.
No, just be a hypocrite.
Well, yeah, sure. Why not? But I mean, if anybody doesn't know, kind of the basic concept, which I think is really, really cool. I'm a huge fan of real world settings that like something has changed to make it very unreal world. So in this one, it is basically the vast majority of women become infertile. And there's a small portion of women that can still have children. And even them, like a lot of them, have birth defects, etc. And so there's this cult that is built from Christianity, but they're very out there in how they look at the Bible. They use that as an opportunity to like it's not super explained, but it seems like they had this terrorist attack where they killed a bunch of American leadership and basically like took over the country. And so now the United States, which is no longer called the United States, is run by this cult. And so they have essentially enslaved these fertile women called handmaids, and they're essentially like concubines for the leadership of this cult. So the men like have their normal wives who are infertile, and then they have this like slave woman that they have sex with as part of this ceremony, and it's supposed to be like they aren't allowed to make eye contact. It's a very religious whatever to impregnate them and keep the species alive in the former United States. And that's like a really fucking rad concept for a show. I will say that I have two main issues with the concept that seem to be a problem from the book. The book was written in the 80s, and it was just one novel that was written, and there's not really a resolution to the problem. It's all from this perspective of one handmaid. Wow. And kind of like she goes through this experience, and then she gets captured by this group of people, and you don't know if like, are they going to set her free? Are they going to punish her? And the book just ends. And I mean, obviously, this is all secondhand information from Kelly, obviously, but I mean, it's very dark. There's not a real like story about it. And so I think as part of that, when you turn it into a television show, it's necessary to make things have a lot longer of a tail, more opportunities for stories, more characters, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you also, because of the time investment, requires a lot more background, a lot more explanation for this universe that you discover over time, versus a book can really leave stuff. Like if Lost was a book, it'd be a lot more interesting than if it was a show.
Sure.
So part of the two problems that I'm having with the show based on the concept is, one, like, the assumption is that the vast majority of quote-unquote Americans still live in this country. Like, some of them escaped to other countries or, like, up to Canada, whatever. But the vast majority of people still live in America underneath these cult leaders. And part of what I'm having the problem is, like, there are so many dudes with guns that are, like, in the military and people that go about their lives that are totally okay and, like, buy into this religious hullabaloo, and like they buy into this cult methodology of like, this is the only way to get God's forgiveness and make women fertile again. I just have a hard time believing that this many people would believe that, because it's completely absurd.
Well,
and
it's
also,
not that they believe it; it's that they go along with it because
but it isn't.
It's what keeps them alive.
It isn't. They believe it. Like, it's very clear that there are lots. I mean, other than the handmaids who know the shit that they're in, most of the other people that they come across that are like in this cult, the soldiers and guards and whatever, they all very clearly like buy into this religion. And I just have a hard time believing that many people would be okay with this bullshit.
Right.
And that kind of expands to the world, because the world is also impacted by this. Like, their women can't get pregnant either. But they know, or at least have an assumption, that bad shit is happening in this country. And it's not just the handmaids. Like, anybody that doesn't follow this very strict religious doctrine that they have, they just fucking kill you. Or they send you to quote-unquote the colonies and torture you and do all this other bad shit. And so people try to escape to Canada or wherever else. And it's very clear, like, they do a good job of expanding the show, and because the main commander, the leader guy that our handmaid is with, he's like super high ranking. You find out he's like one of the originators of this cult. They never call it a cult, obviously, but it is. And so he's super high ranking, and he mentions like, oh, the delegates from Mexico are here to kind of look at our world, because they like, part of their belief is they make everything green, and so like they don't want to use a lot of stuff with emissions, and they focus a lot on farming and just like culture, and it's supposed to be all this positive, nice stuff, when really they're just torturing thousands of people in order to get what they want. And I just have a hard time buying that other countries wouldn't fucking invade America and like stop this shit.
The UN would be all over our asses.
Yeah, and they make a mention of the UN of like, oh, they're trying to make it harder for us to trade, whatever else, and like that's all fine. It's like they're attempting to build explanation for why fucking Europe hasn't nuked the country or whatever. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that these other countries would be okay with what is happening. And not that would solve the problem, because you look at our modern world, like a country like Iraq, who treats their women so poorly, and it's run by the military and blah, blah, blah. And it's not like we've gone on there and fixed all the problems, but we're there. Other countries are there, and that's not happening here. And it's very clear that, these leaders don't allow that to happen, but that makes it even worse. Like, there would be something more happening than what is happening, which is nothing. So I don't know. It sounds like I'm making a big deal out of these things, but it's two like conceptual problems that I have with the show that make it hard for me to totally buy into the circumstances.
Sure.
All that said, the show's fucking incredible, and I'm not shocked that it won all these Emmys. Elizabeth Moss is the lead actress, and she's just like so amazing and like dark but also powerful. And it's so cool because the style of the film, because of this religious piece, like it's very puritanical times. Like the handmaids all wear these like red robes and hoods, and the wives all wear these like very conservative blue dresses, and it takes place in modern day. like right now. It's happening now. And so Elizabeth Moss's character, she has this like inner monologue where like she's cussing and using modern slang and stuff, but then when she's actually talking to people, she's like, "Oh, may the Lord bless you." Like it's just this really cool dichotomy of the show that super works for me. So I don't know. I mean, it's a really awesome show. It moves pretty slowly. I think there are like 10 episodes in the first season, and there's not a ton of narrative. It's more setting up the world and the circumstances for our main character. And then she discovers that there's a hidden resistance, and she's trying to figure out how to get in touch with them, that kind of thing. But that's kind of background. It's more just like what she does on a daily basis and that kind of shit that she deals with, which works. When I say it moves slowly, like it literally moves slowly. The show is obsessed with like 0.75 slow-mo. Like every single fucking shot is in 0.75 slow-mo. And that makes it feel like a grind at times.
Yeah.
We're like, you know, there was a scene where the commander and the handmaid are in this room together. And like she said something and he's like, "Come over here." And it takes like 2 minutes of screen time for her to stand up and walk over and sit down, because it keeps doing like different angles and it's her face, and then she's walking in slow-mo, and then you watch his face watching her move, and then it cuts back to her, and then there's a wide shot of her sitting, and then they sit there and look, and I'm just like, okay, fucking say what you're gonna say. So
is this a Netflix or show?
It's Hulu. It's a Hulu original. Yeah. But I mean, it's super, super awesome.
I was gonna say, if it was made for TV, then like I don't know, maybe they booked the ad slots beforehand, and they're like, well, shit, we only have like 49 minutes and 38 seconds.
Right, we got to make this last
50 minutes and 30 seconds.
Right, that would have been an explanation. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm shitting on it a little bit, but it's a really incredible show. I'm super into it, and we watched some like teasers for the second season, which I think comes out in like April. And man, it looks fucking awesome. The second season is going to be bonkers. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm glad Kelly wanted to rewatch it with me.
Nice.
Finally, on the TV side, we were bored one night and wanted to watch some stand-up, so we watched Chelsea Peretti. She has a Netflix stand-up set called One of the Greats. Do you know who Chelsea Peretti is?
I know the name. I bet if I saw her, I'd recognize her.
Yeah, so she's kind of like one of the up-and-comers right now. She's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the show with Andy Samberg, which I have not seen.
Me neither.
I have some friends that are like obsessed with Chelsea Peretti and think she's hilarious, and I haven't really seen her do that much. And so we saw this. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, like, it's good. She's very funny. There are a lot of good bits. It's weird to like. I can't really like review a stand-up set.
Sure.
But
did it make you laugh?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Done.
there are so many Netflix stand-up sets. They add like 6 every week.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to like sift through. So if people like that, I do recommend Chelsea Peretti, One of the Greats. That's about the only thing I can add about it.
Right.
There is this weird, like, it's not fourth wall breaking. Well, it kind of is. Where like normally in a stand-up set, they'll do these cutaways to the audience laughing. That's like a very common thing they do. Yeah. And in this, she'll cut away and it's random shit. So like she'll cut away and there's like a dog in the audience, or like she cut away once and there's like a clown laying down seductively. And another one, like she's in the middle of a joke and it cuts away to this dude who's like walking in the audience with a leaf blower blowing, and he's just like leaf blowing in the middle of the audience. And she like stops this and she's like, "Hey, like, Do you need to? Can you do this some other time?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry." And then like she walks away, and then she's back to the middle of her bit, and it's like it's just fucking weird, but like cool, I guess. Like it works. So yeah, Chelsea Peretti, One of the Greats. It's pretty good. Really quick, 2 movies. So I mentioned last episode that we were gonna watch Lady Bird before the Oscars. We did watch Lady Bird. It was my pick for Best Picture for this year. I'll say that much. It didn't win, obviously. Shape of Water won, which is some bullshit. That movie was not awesome. But it's really good. Lady Bird's very good. It's like a mother-daughter coming of age. Very like hipster, millennial style. She's a rebel. Like she calls herself Lady Bird, all that kind of thing. Which normally would be a bit off-putting to me because I hate people like that.
Me too.
But one of the things, and it was more interesting watching it with Kelly, being a girl, and like a girl's relationship with her mom is much different than a guy's relationship with his mom. And she was just like, it just felt so real. And not that she experienced a lot of the same stuff, because like Kelly wasn't like a big rebel person, and her mom, like the mom in this is like super emotionally abusive. Like she doesn't ever say a single positive thing to her daughter ever, and that was certainly not Kelly's mom. She's one of the nicest people on the planet.
Right.
But Kelly was just like, it just, the relationship feels real, the dialogue feels real. There's one scene in particular that jumped out where, like, I don't remember what they're talking about, but the ladybird is like complaining about something, and the mom's like being really harsh and like saying bad shit about her, and randomly pulls out a dress because they're shopping for prom. And then like in the middle of nothing, like they're arguing about how much they hate each other, and then in the middle of it, Ladybird goes like, oh my god, I love that dress, and she's like, yeah, let's go try it on. And like it's just a very abrupt break from the fight to talk about this cute dress. And Kelly was just like, oh my god, that's so true to life. So I don't know. It's
all right.
Yeah, and like
I don't get it.
I don't get it, but sure, it feels real to me. Like the dialogue feels very natural, and the relationships feel real. So one other little note I made, which was I just thought was fun. So in the film, she has two different boyfriends at different times. One of whom is played by Lucas Hedges, who last year was in Manchester by the Sea, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that. This year, he's also a small role in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
And then her other boyfriend is played by a dude named Timothée Chalamet. I think it's French. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing his last name right. Who he was also this year in Call Me By Your Name, which was nominated for Best Picture, and he was nominated for Best Actor. And so it's just interesting that Lady Bird's, like both of her boyfriends are Oscar-nominated actors who were also in other Oscar-nominated films this year. It's just like
interesting.
It feels like it made the industry feel very small to me at the time. So yeah, it's a good film. What isn't a good film is the Netflix original called Mute, which is directed by Duncan Jones, who he directed Moon a couple years ago with Sam Rockwell, which to me is like one of the biggest Oscar snubs ever. Sam Rockwell should have been nominated for that film. It's an absolutely amazing movie, Kyle. You would love it. Sam Rockwell, he goes to the moon and he's living by himself for several years, and I don't want to spoil it, but like, it's basically a one-person show. Like, he's the only character in it, essentially. There's a like an AI that talks to him occasionally, but the movie gets really fucking weird, dealing with like AI and clones and etc. It's fucking great. You should watch it. Okay. But since then, he directed the World of Warcraft movie, which I know didn't set the world on fire, and then he's done this. He also did Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal, which was also shitty, and then he did Mute, which I think is terrible. So now I'm like, oh fuck, was he a one-hit wonder?
Maybe he can only handle one actor at a time.
Who what?
Maybe he can only handle one actor at a time.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's just Sam Rockwell makes him better than he is. But the movie is terrible. I was watching it, and in the story, it got to a point where I was like, oh, I feel like we're in the third act. Like, I maybe have 20 minutes left. I paused it to go to the bathroom, and I realized I had an hour and 20 minutes left. Ooh. And then I turned it off. And it's just fucking bad. It's like the worst kind of knockoff Blade Runner style that you could have. And it's called Mute because the main character, he doesn't speak. And it's, I think Alexander Skarsgård is the actor's name. And he's just like really overacting, like over emoting because he doesn't speak. It's just bad. It's just a bad fucking movie. It has 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ouch. And it definitely earns that. Can't recommend it. Paul Rudd is in it. He plays like a side character, and even he's not that good because the writing's bad and like his jokes feel very forced. So it sucks. It's shitty, and that bums me out because I loved the visual style, and I was like, hey, maybe Duncan Jones can hit it again after doing Moon, and he didn't. So I don't have a ton of faith in Duncan Jones anymore at this point.
Ouch.
So yeah, that's everything I've been watching and playing and stuff. You have anything else before we dive into some news?
I do not.
Cool. So, first story, and I feel like every episode we start with a story about like microtransactions and net neutrality and loot boxes.
It's the big stuff.
So here's
man.
another one.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, it is. So I just found this to be very fascinating. So the state of Washington has passed a law to maintain net neutrality. So we talked about this last episode, that the current end date for net neutrality is April, I think like the 23rd or something. But the state of Washington has now said, middle finger to the federal government, we're keeping it here in our state. And apparently, bills have been proposed for a similar kind of legislation in California, Massachusetts, and New York, which this makes sense. These are all high population states that are also very liberal.
Right.
So it makes sense that they'd fight back against this more, Republican-driven, capitalist-driven law that is being repealed.
Right.
I didn't even know that this was okay, like that states could do that they could say like, no, fuck you, we're keeping it.
States can do whatever the fuck they want. They just have to be willing to lose certain government fundings.
Yes, but this isn't really open defiance against like Trump or the administration or whatever. Obviously it is defiant.
Right.
But this isn't them saying, this isn't just them being like, no, we're illegally going to ignore your law. They can legally say, no, we're keeping net neutrality here. So it's not like they're not breaking the rules by doing this. This is allowed.
Well, yeah, because the repeal of net neutrality doesn't say that every state has to allow this or whatever. It's net neutrality was like no company, blanket statement on the federal level, no company can like throttle connections and prioritize connections and stuff. And so like when they take that back, that's not also inserting something in its place that says, hey, everyone has to allow this. So like as long as that doesn't exist, then yeah, I mean states can totally step in and handle it themselves.
Sure. And there's also another wrinkle to this where last I read, which was like last week, there's a bill currently in the Senate to repeal the bill that repealed net neutrality.
Sure.
And right now it's
Sounds like
one
government.
vote short. It's
One
vote short because the Republicans have the majority in the Senate, and they're the ones that push this bill through. And the bill being proposed to repeal the repeal of net neutrality is Democrat-driven. And this just yet again highlights what I was talking about last episode of
why
like
our two-party system doesn't fucking work.
The two-party system doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work because like all the Republicans are going to vote for what the Republicans say. All the Democrats are going to vote for what the Democrats say. And there are very few exceptions to that ever. And so whichever party has the majority, they just do what they want every single time because there's nothing the other side can do.
Right.
And it's just like, that just fucking sucks. And there's like, I don't know. I see a lot more states instituting this by state, legislation to keep net neutrality, but it's going to be the liberal states. It's not going to be the conservative states because they don't want to go against the conservative Senate because then they lose their jobs, etc. There are so many things to get into about this. The fact that being a politician should not be a career. Like, it shouldn't be like, being a senator should not be like, once I get in, I need to stay in for the rest of my career, because then it's more about getting reelected than it is doing anything.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just like the way you have to schmooze to move up. And so like if you're a state senator, you don't want to go against your federal senators in your state because you want to be replacing them someday. It's just, the whole fucking thing sucks. Burn it all down.
There should be no government. There should be no leaders. It should be everyone for themselves.
It should be a religious cult that comes in and tells us what to do, and they can torture all. Yeah, that's what we really need.
Yeah.
So yeah, that there's your like actual impactful news story for the episode, and now we can get to the good shit, some more trivial video game stuff. So Nintendo had a recent Nintendo Direct.
Right.
Did you watch this, Kyle? Did you see like videos and stuff coming?
I didn't watch it. I didn't bother watching any videos. I saw the news that was being announced.
Right. Yeah, I didn't watch it live. I watched all the trailers and whatnot.
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of all of it I don't care about except for one thing,
which I'm assuming is new Smash Brothers.
No, Smash sucks. Fuck Smash.
You are crazy. You are crazy.
Smash Brothers, all right, any fighting game, it sucks. It's awful. That's my opinion.
Smash Brothers is barely a fighting game.
Right. But, like, it's still terrible. It's still awful.
It's good. Super Smash Brothers Melee is...
That's all my friends ever wanted to play, and I never wanted to play it, and I had to play it because that's what they were going to play. I fucking hate that game.
I'm working on a top 100 games of all time list. I have like my current draft that I put together this last week, and I believe Melee is like a top 25 game. It's a good video game.
If I had a worst 100 games of all time that I have played, it would be on it.
Nice.
Yep.
But hey, there's a new Smash coming. Get excited, Kyle, because we're going to talk about it.
I'm sure some people will be very excited about this.
Some people, most people with good taste.
I'm sure you people will be excited about it.
You're damn right.
And I'll say it that way too. You people.
You people.
And I'm sure they'll sell a lot of amiibos.
Amiibo.
Amiibo.
It's like moose. Amoeba. There's no plural version.
Amiibixen. Amiiboxen.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a new Smash. There's a trailer. They didn't like announce the super title. They said it's coming out in 2018, which I do not for 1 second believe, unless it's like a remaster of Brawl from the from the Wii U. That was the Brawl one, or that was the Wii U one, right? Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Sure, that sounds right.
No, that was Brawl was on the Wii. Super Smash Bros. Wii U was the one on the Wii U.
Oh,
so it could be a remaster of that. Who knows?
Right.
But in the trailer, they show Squid Girl and Squid Boy from Splatoon, so they're going to be playable characters. And then they show like a bunch of shadowed characters, which obviously they show Mario and they show Link. I think those are the only two they actually show. But then looking at the other characters, there are like I saw a bunch of YouTube videos of like, let's figure out what all these characters are, and I think that's kind of lame. But the ones that I saw for sure, Mario and Link, which is the Breath of the Wild Link, which is cool. I saw Bowser and Samus, Donkey Kong, Pikachu, Fox, Sheik, and then some sort of Fire Emblem character, if it's Marth or Roy or whoever. Those are the ones that like I definitely knew I saw, and all those make sense. They've been in like every Smash. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of other characters that we've already, like, I'm sure, like, I don't know, like maybe Falco could be in it, or Toon Link, or whatever else, characters that are in all of them. But, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I wanted to talk about what characters you'd like to see in it, but I'm guessing none.
I don't want to hear the word Smash Brothers ever again.
That bums me out. I didn't realize you hated it so much.
With a fervor. And because like every time my friends get together, like, yeah, we should play Smash, and I'm like, I do not want to be here if you guys are playing that game, because so much of my life was wasted having to get my ass beaten by those guys in Smash because I'm not good at it, and I don't like it, and I didn't want to be good at it, and so I was just Pikachu down being the entire time.
I remember that.
Fuck
I remember
everything
you doing
else.
Pikachu and being super annoying whenever we would play.
Yep.
I mean, I played a ton with my high school friends too, and we had one of our group was amazing at it, and so all he did was try to troll people. He would either play as Jigglypuff and make you fall asleep and then like do the Jigglypuff roll on you all the time, or he would play as Donkey Kong and throw you off the edge. That was the only thing he ever did, and it was super annoying.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
Mm-hmm.
Greg.
No. Josh.
Josh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you not remember Josh? Long blonde hair?
Yeah, oh, okay. Yep, got him.
Yeah.
He's in my brain space now.
So he was easily the best. Like the rest of us were on all fairly level footing. Like because we would always trade off controllers, obviously, 4 people at a time. And if Josh was playing, Josh would win. But if Josh wasn't playing, it was anybody's game, and that made it more fun.
Okay.
I played a lot as Link. I liked Link a lot. I'm trying to remember. I did like Pikachu. I liked Fox a lot. I mean, I played as some of the more newbie characters, probably. Like, legit Smash people would probably stare down their nose at my characters, but I enjoyed it. It's a good game.
Well,
one of the greatest games of all time.
What characters would you like to see, Shea?
Thanks for the setup, buddy. I appreciate that. Even though you're not going to care, so we don't need to spend time on it.
People listening might care.
I think Bayonetta makes sense, who would be a really cool character to have. Yeah. People have talked a lot about, since the Crash Bandicoot trilogy is coming to Switch now, about potentially Crash being in the game, because they've done third-party characters before, like, Solid Snake was in it, Sonic was in it, Pac-Man, so...
I have a hard time seeing Crash just because he was in that... I think Crash was in that Sony game What was the
He
Sony
was not.
version?
He was not in the Sony game.
Smash Bros. He wasn't?
Yeah, Sony PlayStation All Stars.
Yeah.
He
I
was
thought
not
Crash
in that
was.
game.
Oh, okay.
No, they couldn't get the rights from Activision because Activision owns Crash now.
Ah.
Because they also own Spyro. And until recently, like, nobody thought Spyro was ever going to be back. And now there's a rumor about we're going to get the trilogy, etc. So, like, I don't
think that was confirmed, actually, like, today.
Oh, really? I didn't see a news story about it. But if it is, cool.
Yeah, Nintendo America just announced Spyro the Dragon Treasure Trilogy coming to Nintendo Switch and other platforms holiday 2018.
Hell yeah, I'm down to play that. Breaking
too.
news. Breaking on the day of recording, not breaking for when people are listening.
When is that? When is that dated? 15th of March. So actually, it was a couple days ago.
Well, then I missed that story. I
Yeah, me too.
apologize. But yeah, I'll definitely play that. But I think Crash would be a good fit. Amaterasu, who is the wolf from Okami, I thought would be a good character. They haven't really... they've ported Okami. I think they're bringing it to Switch now. Actually, they are, because it was part of this Direct where they said that they're bringing it to the Switch eShop. So I thought that would make sense. Other characters I'd like to see, Shovel Knight. We already saw a 3D Shovel Knight in Yooka-Laylee. He like makes a little appearance in Yooka-Laylee, so they could use the 3D version or they could keep them 2D pixelated. But there's a Shovel Knight amiibo, so there's already like a lot of crossover with Nintendo. He'd be a really cool character. I'd like to see Diddy Kong. A lot of people hate Diddy Kong, but I always liked him. I think he'd be fun and obviously very different from Donkey Kong.
He's the small one with the red hat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the
I like
t-shirt.
Diddy.
Yeah, Diddy Kong's cool. Waluigi, I thought would be a fun character because he's number one.
Wow.
Another one that I've seen a lot of people talking about. I'm not super familiar with No More Heroes, but people have said Travis Touchdown would be a good one. He's got like a big sword, lightsaber kind of thing.
Okay.
I personally would like to see Wonder Red from Wonderful 101. I can't imagine they would give a shit about him because no one gave a shit about that game when it came out.
Right.
But because he's like a big superhero thing, that could be a fun thing. And then off that, same game creator, I think, I would love to see Beautiful Joe in Super Smash. Because Beautiful Joe is one of the all-time great video game characters. He's a badass. And they were on GameCube. I would imagine they'd be able to get the rights to include him, and he'd be a really cool fighter. Obviously, we're going to see a bunch of new Pokemon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to see Simon Belmont, Castlevania, obviously. Yeah. Bomberman would be a good fit. Bubsy, I put, just because it'd be fucking weird. And
what could possibly go wrong?
There was that recent Bubsy game, which I guess was atrocious.
Was a disaster.
People are talking about Bubsy, and Bubsy 3D came out a couple years ago. Which
but
was
people
a fun
aren't
Flash
talking
game.
about Bubsy in a good way, Shay.
Yeah, but it would still like they had
like this is what people that talking about Bubsy. This is what they say. Hey, remember that shitty fucking Bubsy game?
Yeah, but in what it was Brawl. They had oh shit, what was that Nintendo robot with the SNES?
Oh,
what was that thing called?
Oh, Rob?
Yes, something Rob. But yes, he was, and everybody fucking hated that thing too. They could put Bubsy in this
but
game.
it was he was like at least a novelty. Like he was like, here's this like SNES robot thing that it's stupid, but it's a toy and it's a novelty. Bubsy was just a trash fire from the moment of conception. Yeah. Let me gather these yarn balls.
I liked the Bubsy game when it came out. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. But that
I just banged my head against it so much. I still have it on Sega Gen. I have the Sega Genesis copy of Bubsy in one of those generic see-through blue cases.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
I think a character from ARMS makes sense, and I haven't played ARMS, but I mean they have the long boxing kind of thing. I think that makes sense. And then the final one that I would like to see, which would be really cute, is Ai from Super Monkey Ball. I think would be a really fun character to be in there. So that's my dream list for the new Super Smash Brothers game, whatever the hell it's Super Smash Brothers Switch, we'll call it. So yeah, I would say Beautiful Joe and Bayonetta are like my top two. I think that makes sense to be in there.
I kind of hope they call it Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers.
The snap.
Click sound. Yeah, it's a good sound.
It is great sound.
That's the little.
That's up there
thing.
next to the M1 Garand ping. That's pretty close.
Yeah, and like even thinking about all-time console sounds, like that's a good one. Because
It
it's
is.
like Sega. You have
That's
and you have the
iconic.
GameCube. The
And if you hold the Z button, it's the monkey.
right. Yeah.
Bagoing. Yeah, the little
There
kid
have been
laughs.
some good video game,
But not
console startup
recently.
sounds. Right.
Until the Switch.
Right.
But I mean,
Because
the
most
Wii
of them
had
are
some
like-
truly amazing like menu music, though.
Yes.
Like, not boot up, but menu
Right.
music.
Yes, absolutely. Because most of it is more ambient. Like thinking about the PS3, PS4, it's that like
Yeah,
ambient background music. There's not really like a console,
yeah.
articulate
And that's like
sound.
that's cool future stuff, but it's
Right.
not like the heart and soul, my childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not the stuff dreams are made of, man.
So what from the direct are you excited about then?
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker
Okay, coming to
come
Switch.
to Switch with like new levels and stuff.
Yeah.
I
It's
really
coming,
like that game on Wii U.
It comes in July 13th, and I'll definitely play because I didn't have a Wii U, so they're actually bringing a lot of Wii U games to the Switch. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I was a Wii U owner that I'd be super happy about that. I'd feel like maybe I wasted my money. But so yeah, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker's coming in July 13th, and it has like Super Mario Odyssey levels, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
They're also bringing Hyrule Warriors to Switch in May 18th. And then what other stuff? So it's some other stuff that's coming to Switch. So we mentioned the Crash Trilogy is coming in 2018. South Park Fractured But Whole is coming to Switch April 24th. They're bringing Undertale to Switch. No release date yet. And then I mentioned the Okami HD is coming to the eShop in the summer. And then they also gave a release date for Octopath Traveler, which is the
Right.
new,
I forgot about that.
new like classic style RPG. It's coming out July 13th. I'm interested in it. They previous did Lost Sphere, which I did not play, but didn't get great reviews. So I'm not sure how to feel about the Octopath Traveler, but it looks
Right.
awesome. It
Yeah,
has
I
this
like the
really
art.
Cool. It's like a 3D pixelated version.
Yeah, so they're like pixelated. There are pixel sprites, and like
Right.
that's very much the look of it. But it is 3D, and it has like this very Minecraft GLSL shaders mod.
Yeah, I thought of
look to
Minecraft.
it. The way
Yeah.
the lighting is
Right.
with it, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it looks cool. And then finally, we got some gameplay for Mario Tennis Aces, which when I heard that they were bringing a Mario Tennis game, I thought that was cool. That was a really fun game. I think the Wii version I played, it was a fun multiplayer game. This one seems really complicated. Did you watch the trailer at all?
I just saw Mario Tennis, and then I blacked
Okay.
out.
That's fine. But like, there's just a lot of systems of like, you can slow down time, you can stop to aim, and it just, I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of shit going on to the point where I was kind of like turned off. But you can play in classic mode, which is just like straight up tennis, which is probably how I would more enjoy it.
Like
it
bare
comes-
bones in Call of Duty.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Bare
man.
bones. Yeah.
Fuck those kill streaks.
It comes out June 22nd, and then the coolest thing that I enjoyed is one of the playable characters is a chain chomp who has like a tennis racket
did
in his
see that,
mouth.
in his mouth.
And it's pretty great. Also, I mean, you can play as King Boo, which makes a little more sense. Like, I can buy that.
He at least
but a
kind of has
fucking-
hands.
A fucking chain chomp just seems so random. But I got some enjoyment out of that. And then also... So last episode we talked about Bethesda's press conference at E3 because they gave a date and time and location. Microsoft also came out and announced that their E3 presence will primarily be across the street from E3 at the Microsoft Theater. So this is pretty nuts because they're taking most of their presence off of the E3 show floor and having it at this other location. Their press conference will be at this other location. And on their floor space at E3, they are going to be, I wrote this down because I had never heard of it before. It's going to be centered around Mixer, which is their new game streaming service. Like, that's a Twitch competitor. And I had never heard of Mixer before.
I've heard of Mixer.
So that's going to be what's on their E3 show floor. So this is interesting to me, one, because companies continue to pull away from E3 and try to do their own thing to break
Right.
through the noise a little bit. But also, since just last year, or maybe 2 years ago, E3 started letting civilians in again. Like, you could purchase tickets to go to the show. If these companies, like, if I was going to E3 this year and Microsoft, all I could see of Microsoft was fucking streaming service at E3, I would feel pretty bummed out. So I don't know. I just thought that was pretty fascinating that this...
I wonder if they're still they're going to
leaving.
let people with E3 passes into their thing across the street too.
I guess that's possible.
That seems like the smart move to do that. Or I guess just like make it free to enter. But then it's like, what's the value of buying a fucking E3 ticket? And also, like, those tickets have been sold already, I believe. So, like, how shitty would that be? Yeah. Like, for them to announce it this late.
Yeah. I think you can still buy tickets. I don't think they're sold out. But, yeah, I mean, they're expensive, certainly. And also for people coming from out of town, like... You're spending a lot of money to go to E3.
Tickets and stuff, and
exactly.
hotels,
so, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's weird.
But the actual conference will be June 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and like we said, that's where you'll be playing the games is at the Microsoft Theater, not on the E3 show floor. So maybe we could talk about what we would expect to see from Microsoft's presser, or are you not interested in that either because you're a spoil sport?
No, we can talk about that. I have an Xbox One X. Right. Not One X, just an Xbox One.
Xbox One. I forgot that you have one because there's not a ton to play on the Xbox One.
I mean, I don't know when I turned it on last.
Yeah.
But it like perfectly fits into my little IKEA shelf.
Yeah, a little cubby.
Yeah, it perfectly fits in.
So, I mean, E3 is still, April, May, June, still 3 months away, so some stuff could change in between now and then, but as of now, we still don't have a release date for Crackdown 3. Smart money, since it's already been delayed like 3 times, smart money is that it will come out this year, probably in the fall, so I wouldn't be shocked if at their press conference they showed some more gameplay, something with that release date, I think makes sense, is their kind of cornerstone game this year. It's also about time for a new Halo. So I wouldn't be shocked if they showed a little teaser trailer for Halo 6 with, a 2019 release date, and it'll inevitably come out in fall 2019 if it doesn't get delayed to spring 2020. I don't know. There's not they don't have a ton of exclusives. Maybe a new I'm sure there'll be a new Forza they'll show. I don't know, man. It's mostly when I was thinking about what stuff they would have there, it's third-party stuff. Because by then, Sea of Thieves will be out, which is their other big release this year. So maybe they'll have DLC for Sea of Thieves, or just new content, because the game will have been out for a couple months, or maybe just a month, so they could announce some new content that's coming, assuming the game sells well. I don't know.
What do they have?
Exactly.
They had Scalebound and they fucking shut it down, and that looked really cool.
Yeah,
it was at least something original from them.
Yeah,
and they shut that shit down, so I don't even know what the hell they have.
I mean, they have the Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the sequel to that they announced last year. So we could see that with a release date. It still doesn't have a release date. And then the two things that I pointed out for third party that might make sense, assuming Sony still has their deal with Activision for the Call of Duty stuff, Battlefield 5 could be there, which allegedly is a World War II game. I could see them having some Battlefield 5 there.
Yeah.
And then also, if Rockstar wanted to be at E3, I could see them having some stuff for Red Dead 2 at the Microsoft conference. I could see that happening more than at Sony. But
I think Rockstar is so not interested in E3.
They typically don't. They typically don't. But
I was, happening.
I was grasping for straws here, trying to find anything that might fill an hour at Microsoft.
Because when did Gears 4 come out?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I think it came out in 2015.
Okay, I mean it could be time for new Gears.
Yeah, new trailer, maybe.
But man, are we really gonna have a Gears 5
and 6? Gears 4 was the start of a new trilogy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't think I'm game for it, man.
I know.
I mean, I'll play it, but I don't know that I want to play it.
And to be honest, I'm excited for Halo 6 to come out and be done, because then hopefully 343 can start something new. Because they're clearly a talented studio. I don't particularly care about Halo. I don't like the way it plays.
I don't think they're a talented team. They've done a shit job with the Halo franchise.
Have they?
Oh yeah, I mean, 4 and 5 have sucked.
I didn't enjoy Halo 4, but I have never really enjoyed a Halo game, so that didn't really mean anything to me.
Like they've done zero innovation well, not zero, but they've done almost zero innovation, and the innovation they have done has been to the game's detriment. Like the new enemy types they've dreamed up have been terrible, awful things to play against. Like the guns just don't feel as good anymore. They don't feel as effective. And the multiplayer holds up,
Right.
for the most part. But like I don't know. Because Halo, it's always been about the campaign, and the co-op experience has been pretty integral to the success of the franchise. And I mean, like, now that multiplayer and games as a service is a bigger deal, I mean, they still have that in spades. They can still do that well, and they've proven that. But it's like, I mean, that's not enough for me.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you. And they could always have more third-party exclusivity in, like, add-ons or DLC. Like, I don't know if they worked with Ubisoft for that, like, Skull and Bones ship combat game, or like...
Yeah. Wait, didn't Microsoft just acquire a studio?
Not that I saw.
I thought I read that Microsoft acquired a studio. They brought them in-house. I don't remember what it might have been.
Bethesda did.
Yeah,
I don't remember
Bethesda
seeing Microsoft.
I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining that. I don't know, dude. I don't know what the hell they're gonna have.
Yeah, and I don't own an Xbox, and so I'm less invested, but I would like for them to announce some big new crazy thing exclusive that makes me want to buy a console.
They have to.
So
I mean, the only other thing that maybe we see is whatever the VR AR thing they're working on is.
Yeah.
Maybe we see that.
Yeah. More content for Minecraft.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And then in the ongoing saga of Battlefront 2, EA laid out their new progression system. So it launches on March 21st. And basically the way it works is that it's linear now. So you level up and you get loot boxes as you level up. Once you like complete a challenge or hit a new level, that's how you get loot boxes. You do not purchase them, which is a pretty big change.
Yeah.
You can purchase crates, but they only have cosmetic items. So like they have different poses and emotes and shit. And then starting in April, you'll be able to buy costumes with either in-game currency, or you can buy them with real money. But again, that's only cosmetic. And everything you've already unlocked through the loot box system, you keep. Everything else gets kind of thrown into this linear progression system as you level up, which functions very similar to like Call of Duty style. So that just seems pretty nuts to me that because like they were so adamant a month or so ago that like we're bringing the loot boxes, we're bringing the microtransactions back eventually. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to make it work. And something happened to where they were like, no, burn it all down. It's done. So I don't know. It seems pretty nuts that they would just cancel all those plans.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty insane. I mean, it sounds like they're doing it more or less right now, but I feel the thing I want to know is, because I read that everything people have already bought with the crystals and all that stuff, anything people have already earned or bought through the crates, they're keeping that. So like there are these like crazy powerful star cards. I'm wondering if those are still droppable now from like the crates that you're earning in game, or if like they're still purchasable or whatever. Like, because then if not, isn't the game then inherently broken because some players have shit that they paid for originally that other people don't?
I didn't see anything that said they were taking the star cards away, or like any specific star cards away. It's just that
all random.
They're gated at different levels and stuff. Yeah, so theoretically, if someone has the really powerful Y-Wing, you would earn that too. It's just you're not going to get it till you reach X level. So,
right. Which I guess, yeah. But I mean, it still sucks because, hey, that person probably fucking paid for it.
Right. Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
Now I have to work for it.
It definitely doesn't. They're not doing anything to make up for the sins of the past.
Right.
They're just avoiding making
further
it worse.
Sins. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, the game still sold well. It obviously hit under what they wanted it to sell, but it still sold like 10 million plus copies in 2 months. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a Star Wars game.
I don't know how many people are sticking around on this.
Right.
And still
if
playing.
I can get it cheap, I might pick it up now that they've made the change, because like I want to support the change.
That's fair.
Like
Yeah.
I want them to know that you fixed it, so I'll buy it. And I do want to play it. Like I want to play the single player campaign. I heard there's some DLC that's actually like supposed to be kind of good. Like there's some new missions or something, I think, coming down the pipe or already out. I want to see that stuff through.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, after I played the single player, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's worth playing.
Right.
It did nothing for me. Like, other than it being Star Wars, there was nothing cool or unique or fresh about what they did in the single player.
Yeah.
And I didn't even bother touching the multiplayer, partially because of the microtransactions, but I just also don't enjoy competitive multiplayer games. So I knew I wasn't going to like it no matter what, so I didn't want to waste any time.
Right.
Moving into some additional game announcements. So Days Gone has been delayed into 2019. I'm not super shocked because Sony already has God of War coming out in April, and then allegedly Spider-Man coming out in the fall. So something was bound to get moved.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed because like they've shown a lot of gameplay videos of like finished areas of the game and stuff,
right.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just not all coming together the way they wanted it to, or maybe like you said, it's because of
other releases. Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be either way. Certainly, more time to work on it would rarely negatively impact the quality of the game. So whatever. The bigger thing for me is assuming The Last of Us 2 comes out next year, which I think is a fair assumption to make. I mean, It might not be until 2020, but if it does come out in 2019, Days Gone and The Last of Us will release in the same year, and they're pretty similar aesthetically, and that doesn't sound awesome to me for the sake of Days Gone, because we know The Last of Us 2 is going to be phenomenal. It's so overhyped, etc., that I can't imagine is great for Days Gone to potentially compete against The Last of Us.
Yeah, well, Days Gone, they didn't say when it was delayed to in 2019, did they?
No.
They didn't even give a quarter?
I don't think so.
Okay, because maybe Days Gone was just delayed to Q1 2019, and Last of Us 2 at best would be Q4.
Yes, well, Q3, like in the fall, but I would think.
Q3.
But point being in the same year, they're very similar style games.
Sure,
that's more what I'm saying.
Yeah, if they release in the same year, they need to be separated by as much time as possible.
Exactly. So hopefully that happens. And, I mean, for my sake, hopefully The Last of Us isn't a 2020 game, because I would like to play it, so I'd like to play it sooner. But, yeah.
Yes, please.
The Division 2 is a video game. I'm not super surprised by this. The first game didn't really set the world on fire. It did really well in the beginning, but people fell off because there wasn't a ton of content. It fell into the same trap as Destiny, even though what it said it was going to do was solve the problems that Destiny created, and it didn't. I guess the game has improved a lot now. Like, they're still supporting it with content, which is great. And I think it's done a better job with more consistent content than Destiny did, which was certainly a problem with people falling off in Destiny, because they didn't do like these big monthly events consistently. So there's going to be a full reveal at E3. I would assume at the Ubisoft press conference. I'm interested to see what they do with this. I was pretty faithful that Bungie would fix the Destiny 1 problems in Destiny 2, and they certainly fucking didn't even come close to doing that.
Right.
So hopefully the Division can fix the problems of the first one, because I'd be interested in this. I mean, I didn't play the first one because the reviews weren't awesome, and I heard people complaining about the content, etc., the repetition. But if it seems like the second game's coming together, like, it's certainly a game I'd be interested in playing. So I hope it's good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. My buddy and I played quite a bit of it on both PS4 and PC. I think those there's a lot to enjoy there, but yeah, like at the higher level stuff, it did get to be really repetitive, which I hear they fixed later with like different DLCs and expansions and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I remember the disconnect between what they showed before the game was out and what the game actually wound up looking like and functioning like. Yeah. I remember that disconnect being really off-putting. So I'm hoping with the Division 2 they have a clearer, more concise look that they can show the public, and not, try and pull the wool over our eyes yet again.
Yeah,
with what that game actually is.
Yeah. Sticking with shooters, Activision announced that the next Call of Duty game, 2018's Call of Duty game, is Black Ops 4, or I'm sorry, Black Ops III, which is not the Roman numeral for 4, but sure, why not?
Uh-huh.
It's real dumb, but it's the kind of thing they would do for the Call of Duty audience.
We on tally marks now, bruh.
Yeah, like if they made it Call of Duty IV, like the actual Roman numeral 4, I could see a lot of the Call of Duty bros being like, yo, what's Call of Duty IV? Am I playing as a nurse? Like, so I'm not super shocked.
Exclusively medics.
Yeah. So it comes out October 12th, which is also interesting because that's the week before Red Dead 2. So clearly they wanted to get out ahead of that, which definitely makes sense.
Sure.
They're having a release event, or a reveal event, I should say, May 17th, and will also be at E3, presumably the Sony press conference. So I bet you we'll see some multiplayer in May. We'll see some single player in June. That's how that always goes.
Yeah.
It is still futuristic. They're sticking with that for this one. I'm not. I mean, I haven't
way
been
less interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, yes. I have zero interest in this because of the futuristic setting.
Same.
I haven't been plugged into the Call of Duty community for like a long time. I'm not sure what the vibe was about World War II. I know, obviously, before the game came out, everybody was excited about the World War II return.
Yeah,
and obviously, like when they did the COD 4 remake, everybody was really excited about that, the modern stuff, because everybody was burnt out by the futuristic.
Right.
I don't know if that's different now, if World War II wasn't awesome, if people didn't like it as much, if they're ready to go back. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Call of Duty community's response is to this, but Treyarch seems to be looked at as like the A studio now, whereas it used to be Infinity Ward, and they've certainly fallen apart. I guess Sledgehammer's done some decent ones, but Treyarch's looked at like the main Call of Duty studio, so I'm sure people have a lot more faith in them than some other stuff. I don't know, man. I just don't give a shit. I mean, it's got zombies. There's like the remote control cars. It just seems like it's the same stuff. Like,
right.
Whereas World War II at least was new for the recent Call of Duty games. This feels like just retreading the same shit they've been doing for 6 years again.
Yeah, it's fucking Call of Duty Maiden.
Yeah, exactly.
They may as well just start calling them by the year. Call of Duty 2018.
Right. Just get a new skins that you can unlock each time.
Right.
Let's move on.
Please.
Yeah. Blue Point is working on a new game. So they've been working on like HD remasters, remakes for a long time. Recently they put out the Shadow of the Colossus on PS4, which I know was super well received. I haven't checked that yet, but I need to. They've announced just that they're working on another game and that it's bigger than anything they've done before. That's as specific as they were. That makes me excited. They've done a phenomenal job with all those. They did like the Nathan Drake collection. They did a bunch of other stuff before that. I mean, they did the original PS3 Ico Shadow of the Colossus collection. They did the Gravity Rush remaster on PS4. They're a very talented remaster remake studio. So I'd be excited by whatever they're working on next, especially when they say that it's a bigger project than they've done before.
Xenosaga. Make it be Xenosaga.
I started thinking about Xenosaga again, talking about this top 100 list, thinking about Xenosaga again, man.
Those are good games. That's good stuff. I like Xenosaga.
And they were more popular than I remember. Because I remember them being like mid-tier JRPGs. Like they weren't as well known as obviously Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, whatever else. And I just remember not a lot of people talking about Xenosaga back in the day. But if you go online now and look at Xenosaga, there are a lot of people that love
know
Xenosaga.
that game, yeah.
Yeah. So I would fucking love the Xenosaga trilogy.
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be so good.
Yeah. Moving to the world of television and film, Got a new little teaser for Luke Cage Season 2. Comes out June 22nd. It just is a little teaser. There's not really much to glean there, but I did see a news story talking about more of the story, which I thought was interesting. The villains are going to be Bushmaster and Nightshade. And just like, I like that they're sticking with the like snake aesthetic, because that's a very common thing in Marvel villains, like the lower tier Marvel villains. And I like that they're staying with that, because obviously in the first season they had Cottonmouth and Diamondback. And so in this one, Bushmaster and Nightshade they're having.
I feel like these are like porn star names. Bushmaster.
Diamondback.
Nightshade.
So yeah, giving a little comic book history lesson. So I don't know that these will be the takes on these characters in the show, but in the comics, there have been 2 different Bushmasters. So the first guy, he was a crime boss that he undergoes like a similar thing to Luke Cage, where it makes him like, you know, super powerful and unbreakable skin, etc., where his body is slowly turning into a living metal. And so, like, you know, he's trying to stop that from happening, but also enjoying the power that it brings him. The second Bushmaster is like this crazy dude who he gets a prosthetic tail and additional limbs, and he has these like talon blades on his arms that he uses, where he, you know, he's more like a snake with his prosthetic tail and stuff. I'm going to assume that if they're going with a comic book version, they're going to use the former and not the living Snake Man version of Bushmaster.
I don't know, dude.
In like
Maybe
this
it
like
goes
modern
really
Harlem
weird direction. Some weird body horror shit.
I do think it makes sense because, you know, it's the crime boss, which the first season dealt with a lot, and also having a villain that's similar in abilities to Luke Cage, I think makes sense as someone to fight. So that totally makes sense to me. Nightshade is a bit of a different thing because she has really fucking weird powers. So she's like a genius, like a big scientist. She's into like technology and biometrics and all that, genetics, all that kind of shit. She's a former prisoner, which also makes sense. She could be like, thinking of the show, maybe she was in prison at the same time as Luke Cage, or they knew similar people, whatever. But she also has this serum that she creates that turns people into werewolves, which that doesn't make sense compared to anything else. I don't know if they're gonna go with that on this show, but the like scientist ex-con, that could make sense. Maybe she's a potential love interest too, or I don't know, but she is a villain. And
hey, who better to fight a werewolf than a man who cannot contract the werewolf disease because his skin does not break?
Whoa, you're blowing my mind.
Did
you pitch this? Did you pitch this to Netflix?
Luke Cage Van Helsing.
Oh no.
Just like some R&B music, and he walks up to this castle.
That sounds like the worst kind of blaxploitation film from the 70s. Luke Cage Van Helsing.
Cage Van Helsing.
So in this story that I read, they also confirmed that Iron Fist will be in the second season. Meh.
Yeah.
And Misty Knight is coming back. And she lost her arm in the first season, and now she's got that bionic arm shit from the comics,
right?
Which is pretty cool. So
that
I'm looking forward to that.
arm.
Yeah, exactly. We got a new trailer for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I don't know, dude.
Like, this looks like it has more of like the Harry Potter magic stuff in it than the previous one,
which is good.
Which is good. I just don't know how I feel about Johnny Depp being in the Harry Potter universe.
Yes. So I have many thoughts on this, but I totally agree. This feels more like the Harry Potter series, which is positive. I do like that they're keeping the Fantastic Beasts part of it in the film, but it was weird because the first movie felt like 2 movies. Like it was the Grindelwald mystery, Oculus, is that what it's called? Obscurus story, and then the Fantastic Beasts part. It just felt like two movies that just butted heads throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And this, it feels like the Beasts part is like more supporting the larger Grindelwald story. I think that's very smart. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah.
And it also helps make sense why it's still called Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. And I really like the characters from the first movie.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're all in the new one, which is fantastic. So
totally agree.
I'm more excited about this than I was about Fantastic Beasts, because, like the first one, because like I didn't know what to expect from that one, and now this one, like they have a solid cast of characters. I like all of them, and like this seems like a little bit more like they're kind of picking and choosing more things from the Harry Potter universe to implement. Like it didn't. I think maybe because it took place in America. Like is what like it felt so alien to the franchise, and I think this takes place in Europe,
Paris. I think I think it's primarily in Paris. They mention Paris at least.
So maybe
and they do show Hogwarts as well.
Yeah, and so I think like it'll feel a little more at home.
Yeah,
because of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say, I have two things about this. So, in the Harry Potter books. One of the things that I really loved about the later books was it gave additional backstory to Dumbledore. And this whole story of him taking down Grindelwald, you kind of see them when they were younger, how they had this friendship, and Dumbledore starts to become like not as much of a saint. You're learning about some of the sins of his past, etc. I loved that in the novels.
Yeah.
They didn't do as awesome of a job in the movies because they didn't really have time to build that out as much. But I really liked how there was that. It kind of undid a lot of what you thought you knew about Dumbledore's past, in particular with his relationship with Grindelwald. And it kind of made Grindelwald maybe more of a sympathetic character, that he wasn't just this, like, precursor to Voldemort, that maybe he was a little understood, like, he went too far in what he was trying to do.
Right.
But, like, that he just kind of got... his life got away from himself, kind of a thing. And, like, that whole big final battle between the two of them was maybe not a big final battle. And maybe Grindelwald just, like, gave up to Dumbledore because they were friends, etc. And I really liked that.
And I liked it, too, because Harry, his lack of parents, like, an important thing that we go through as people is when we realize our parents are just people. Mm-hmm. And so Harry didn't have that opportunity. Like, he didn't have the opportunity to experience that with his own parents, and so Dumbledore was kind of the foil for that to happen, or an excuse for that to happen, so Harry gets that kind of growth that we all naturally get.
You learn that he's not perfect, you know?
Right.
And it's powerful for the reader, too, because we look at Dumbledore as being, like, the smartest, most amazing wizard of all time, and, like, oh, he did some bad shit when he was a kid.
Right.
But anyway, point of saying all that, I really like that relationship that they... semi-build, but also leave open to interpretation between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Mm-hmm. Granted, I'm only going from the trailer and from, you know, the ending of the first film, but it seems like they're just going balls to the wall. Johnny Depp is an insane, evil, bad guy.
Yeah.
And that is just far less interesting to me.
Agreed.
There could be a huge bait and switch. Maybe they do something interesting with that relationship. That's just not how it comes across right now, and that really bums me out. I'm not a fan of Johnny Depp in general. I think he's a complete over-actor, and I just don't ever buy his characters.
Yeah, I think he was perfect for Captain Jack Sparrow, and that is the only role I've ever actually liked him in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know. That part of it I'm certainly not sold on, but I agree with you. And I don't know that I am more excited for this one than I was for the first one, because going into the first one, it was like more Wizarding World. I was so hyped for it.
Okay.
But I am more, after seeing this trailer, I am more excited for this movie than I thought I would be.
Okay.
I guess is how I would say it. One little thing, I was doing some reading on some of the characters that are in this movie, and I came across like a half-formulated theory that I have fleshed out because I'm a Harry Potter genius. And I'm going to give it to you right now, and it's going to blow your fucking mind.
Okay.
So, you watched the trailer, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
In the trailer, there are a couple of quick little shots of this, like, Asian girl who, she uses some magic, and there's something with an Obscurus, and there's a shot of her, like, crying, whatever. There was a production still, or like a cast photo with her in it. And right now, her character is only known as Maledictus. That's what her name is on IMDb, is Maledictus. In the Harry Potter universe, a Maledictus is someone that carries a blood curse that is transforming them into an animal. So not an animagi where they can just do it whenever they want, but that it's like a degradation where they're slowly turning into this animal.
Interesting.
In Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, this is how I originally found this theory, there is a poster for this like traveling freak circus of magic people. And one of those characters on that poster is called the Enchanting Snake Girl. In this cast photo, this chick who is Maledictus, what she is wearing is this like skin tight yoga panty sort of thing that is, I mean, it looks like scales, basically.
Okay.
And so the theory that I saw is, hey, this chick, this Maledictus, is actually the Enchanting Snake Girl. Which, like, that seems cool. That seems reasonable that they would tie into this circus in some way that they kind of teased a little bit, showed a little bit in the first movie. I take this one step further.
She's Nagini.
You son of a bitch. You are a bastard. You're reading my show notes here. You
What?
ruined
No, I'm not. Did you write it? Oh, you wrote it.
Yeah, I did write that.
Oh, you did. I didn't even read it.
No, I'm teasing you. But yes, so she has this curse that is slowly turning her into an animal. And if she is the enchanting snake girl and has these snake abilities, she's wearing snake-like clothing. My question was, that I was going to tease it, was, what snake in the Harry Potter universe do we know that's anthropomorphized? That is like more intelligent than a normal snake, has some more human actions than a snake would have.
But I thought
And
that
yes,
was attributed
Nagini.
to Voldemort putting part of his soul in the snake.
It certainly could be. It certainly could be. This is just a theory that I thought would be pretty fucking cool if this chick turned out to be Nagini in the future. That would be pretty awesome.
That would
all
be
I'm
cool.
saying. So that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. It's probably
I think
too out there, but
Yeah, if she were to be Nagini, I think she would need to have some form of connection to Grindelwald, which would be the only reason why Tom Riddle would have sought her out, because of her connection to Grindelwald's powerful wizard. That would make sense.
And I mean, the Grindelwald is the bad guy in the movie, so that seems like a pretty easy way to tie her into his character.
Right.
The only other thing I'll
see
mention.
that.
The only other thing I'll mention really quick from the trailer, which is like a real quick shot. So they've already announced that, oh shit, what was his name? Theseus Scamander, who is Newt Scamander's older brother, is in the film. And there's a real quick shot of him, like right at the end, where he's with Newt and they both do this like complicated spell where they like hit the ground.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call that out because it's, you know, it's his older brother. He's a new character and clearly has some involvement on the magical story of the film. So
Is it
Yeah.
who's playing Dumbledore? Is it Jude Law?
it is Jude Law.
I feel like that's a good choice.
I didn't really get Dumbledore vibes from him in the trailer.
Yeah,
like, it
but
didn't seem right. But
I
because
hope.
it was so long ago, I think Jude Law is a really good actor. I
Yeah.
think maybe sometimes he chooses scenery a little bit, but I think he's a good actor, and like I'm fine with him playing Dumbledore, and he has that little bit of like cocky attitude to his character that I
Yeah.
enjoy. That's a little bit more of that Dumbledore bad boy that
Right.
you read in the books.
Right.
So that seems neat.
Because like the whole conceit is that like Dumbledore and Grindelwald are gay,
Yeah.
or at least Dumbledore is.
Right.
And so I guess you think we're going to see Jude Law and Johnny Depp make out.
I don't. I don't.
Because also it seems like also like this is taking place after they have already had some sort of a clash with each other.
Yes,
And that separation has already happened.
Right. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm more excited for the film than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't disappoint. One thing, or I should say another thing, I'm far more excited about than I maybe thought I would be. Disney has come out and said that Jon Favreau is working on creating a live-action Star Wars show. Which, that sounds pretty cool.
Tell me who Jon Favreau is.
So he directed the first Iron Man. He he plays what's the character's name? Because he acts in Iron Man 2. He's the driver, Tony Stark's driver, the kind of big teddy bear looking guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been an actor for a really long time. He directs a lot of stuff now too. I mean, I think he's awesome from a creative standpoint. So the fact that he's kind of taking this on and developing his own show in the Star Wars universe and it's live action sounds really rad. this will be something that's part of Disney's new streaming service that we've talked about before. It's whatever. It's supposed to launch next year, and they're going to have 2 versions. So there's going to be one that's more about, like, I guess it's more kid-friendly. Well, they'll have a lot of, like, the movies and the Disney XD stuff and all that kind of crap. And then the other one is more of, like, the Disney films where, like, they have all the Marvel movies and the Star Wars content, and it's the more adult-geared version. And
You have to pay separately for these?
I'm not sure. All I know is that when they initially announced it, they said they were going to have 2 different versions. I don't know if that's still the plan or not. That's all I knew at the time, which was like a couple months ago when I read that. As part of this announcement, they also said that as for this streaming service, they have a couple, or I should say, quote, a few Star Wars series being developed for this, which sounds awesome. I'm super pumped about that. The movies have been, like, not awesome, but something about a bunch of, like, new Star Wars TV shows makes me very excited. And it also makes sense because Star Wars Rebels, which is the only current Star Wars show, it's the animated, CG animated one, just ended or is about to end really soon. So it makes sense that they're kind of stopping all of that to move all of that content now on their streaming platform. So presumably they would have live action shows and animated shows, CG shows, etc. Yeah. Me, I haven't watched Rebels, but I've heard good things, and I really enjoyed Clone Wars. So more Star Wars TV, even like the animated stuff, I'm totally down for that.
Let's bring back the Ewok adventures, man.
No, maybe not the Ewok adventures.
Like Smurfs, but better.
What? So like what? But like still below Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like that's the level we're talking about here.
I mean,
like
Alvin
better
and
than
Chipmunks.
Better than Smurfs is a low bar.
Hey, as long as you can point at something and say it's better than something else, you got a winner.
Like getting punched in the face, it's better than getting kicked in the nuts.
Getting kicked in the nuts,
yeah.
It's better than getting stabbed in the side of the head.
Is it?
Well,
I don't know about that.
Maybe not.
So yeah, I don't know. It was just funny. Like when I read this news, I got immediately really excited, which is more than I can say for my excitement about all these new upcoming Star Wars movies. So I thought that was interesting.
Because you know what? They haven't messed up a Star Wars TV show yet.
Well, not significantly.
Right.
I mean, there haven't been that many opportunities
exactly
to mess up Star Wars TV shows. But yeah, I guess 2 quick stories before we move on. So Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead, he has a new comic coming out. It's called Oblivion's Song, and it actually looks pretty awesome. So it's about this world where 300,000 people disappear into this like alternate plane called Oblivion, or like the Oblivion or something. And he is a government agent who's sent to Philadelphia to like research this and find out more about this. And he fights like a bunch of fucking monsters and demons and shit, because of course he does. The first issue is actually already out, and then it'll come out every month. It'll be a monthly thing. So second issue is in April, and then May, etc. It just sounded cool to me, and I know you're a big Robert Kirkman or Walking Dead fan, so sounds like something I would probably want to check out. I think the artist is like a brand new artist too. I think he's like a new person.
Yeah, Outcast is really good too.
Yeah. And finally, and definitely the most important news of this episode, is that Mario is a plumber again. So a couple years ago, Nintendo changed his official occupation to adventurer, and it said that he was a former plumber a long time ago. And now, apropos of nothing, they've changed it back to where now his occupation is a plumber.
Once a plumber, always a plumber. Let's be honest.
So all is right with the world. Everything we talk about net neutrality and all this dark future and etc. At least Mario knows who he is again.
Right.
And that's what really matters.
Yeah. The only thing that matters.
Right. I guess before we move to Hate of the Week, so last episode I talked through kind of my top 10 games, and that post is still up on SheaHatesEverything.com if you want to check it out. I also posted my top 10 movies from 2017. just because, I mean, we're running along here, I'm not going to walk through all of it, but I don't know. Like I said, I definitely did not agree with The Shape of Water winning Best Picture. So if you're interested in films, definitely check that out on my site, Top 10 Movies of 2017. And this isn't the Oscar 2017, where like it's like February 2017 to February 2018. These are films that actually released in calendar year 2017. So some stuff that like were at the Oscars in 2016 or 27. I don't fucking know what dates.
Years.
The Oscars are dumb, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep. Hey, fuck the Oscars.
Right. Good. That was good.
Thanks.
And before we wrap up, I guess we might as well talk about the hate of the week.
Hate of the week.
So we'll keep this one nice and short because it's a fairly trivial thing. But this is just something that some recent stuff has come out that made me think about it, and then I also saw a discussion about it in the Giant Bomb Facebook group, which made me think about it even more.
And you liked my comment.
I did.
Because it's a pretty good comment.
Yeah, it was funny. So today's hate of the week is, I don't even know like how you would say this, but it's basically like trailers for trailers. So it's not like teaser trailers. I don't have a problem with teaser trailers that are like a hype trailer, but it's like a trailer that is announcing the release date of a trailer. That is like that is the dark future shit that I'm talking about. That like the world is gonna end when we have trailers for trailers. I remember.
Dog, we heard you like trailers.
I'm sure it wasn't the first instance, but I remember this. Like the one that pops into my mind is for Avengers: Age of Ultron, the second Avengers film. They did a trailer for the trailer, and it was like 2 months before the trailer came out. It was just like a little 30-second thing where they showed like a couple quick shots, and they were like, Avengers Age of Ultron trailer coming in 2 months. And I was like, wait, why didn't you put the trailer out now? Like, you don't need to get me hyped for a trailer. The trailer is what's supposed to get me hyped.
Right.
It's just so fucking stupid.
It's so dumb.
I mean, this came out again for The Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the announcement there, because they were like, it was like a 30-second, a couple quick shots of Lara, and they're like, hey, it's coming out on this date. Here's when our reveal event will be. And I'm like, okay, why? Like, why did you even announce it then? If you have a full reveal event, like, what's the point? To get me hyped for the reveal event? I don't know. It just seems stupid. It's like it just seems like bad marketing to me.
It's like, I hate it.
It's stupid. It's really stupid.
Some might say, I hate it of this week.
Right, exactly.
If someone got hit on the head, they would say that phrase.
So yeah, stop making trailers for your trailers. Just make trailers. Just make trailers. I don't need a trailer for
Or you know what? Maybe don't even make trailers. Just release your fucking shit.
That too. I get trailers. I get the point. And I get the point of having multiple trailers. I get the point of like having a teaser that's like style, and then you have the second trailer a couple months later that's like more of the story. I get that. You're shaking your head, but that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
From a marketing perspective, it makes sense.
Yes, from a capitalist, we want your dollars. We want your ass in the seat so we make money off of you. Yes, it makes sense. But I'm thinking like, how does it benefit me as a consumer? It doesn't.
But that's what I'm saying. So that announcement trailer, it gives you the style of it. So I'm not talking about like sequels, but like for something new, it'll give you the style and the vibe of something. And then the second trailer is more like the story.
Sometimes trailers just lie.
No, you're right. I'm saying in an ideal world where the trailer does what it's supposed to do, what it intends to do, that's the point. These trailers for trailers, that is pointless because it's not a teaser trailer. It's not. I mean, it's basically like. It doesn't offer anything other than a couple of quick shots and then come back for more info in like 3 fucking months. It serves no value. It is so stupid, and it needs to stop.
Yeah.
But on the positive side of things, to close the episode, I don't hate my dog, Beamer. He was being a bit of a pain in the ass today. Because we have neighbors that have 3 dogs, and they let them outside in the back, and Beamer jumps all over the window and claws and whines. And I try to get him to like sit while the dog is out there, just to be, because like obviously there's a a window to door between them, but to like be okay and try to calm him and be okay being in the same space as this other dog. And he was not cooperating very well, but he's fucking adorable. I love him, so I don't hate him.
And today I don't hate with my theater kids. They put together a fundraiser at a local coffee shop, and from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., all of these theater kids, they had put together songs and like performances and stuff, and they went and they sang and they played instruments for an hour and a half, and 10% of all of the sales during that time went to the theater program, and they raised a tidy sum of money, and they completely organized it themselves, put it all together, and made it happen, and that was really, really cool. So
that's awesome.
I thought that was really, really neat.
Good group of kids.
Yes. Everything they ever do reminds me that I'm extremely fortunate to have that group of kids. So
yeah, absolutely.
Had me tearing up a little bit.
Well, that's a good positive note to end the episode on.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for listening. Kyle, thank you for joining me.
I'm sure I was a bright ray of hope and positivity today.
Other than shutting down my Super Smash Brothers hype. It was
Fuck your Smash Brothers.
One of the worst games you've ever played. You're a crazy person.
Okay, there's Mario Party and then there's Smash Brothers, and it's just those two.
That's
worst games ever made.
No, that is not the hill you want to die on, my friend. That is not the hill.
Don't tell me my fights.
You need to correct yourself. Put your brain right.
No.
It's a good game. It's a good video game.
You have to commit me.
If you want to read some good opinions, unlike Kyle's, you should go to SheaHatesEverything.com and check out some stuff there. So I guess we will see everybody in the next episode, and peace out.